Good afternoon. Before ending my day, I wanted to touch base with my audience because I took some time to really reflect on the day today. And what I had a chance to learn from today is very important. And I think it's not just important for me, but more importantly for the audience out there, because the truth is that I go through challenges and struggles like anybody else. But the idea here is that I practice what I preach in my own life and how I tend to go after what my dreams are, aspirations are, or providing a service in respect to my business. And one of the things that I really took away from today is that I met with one of my clients who I reconnected with after a year away from services. We had a second session after doing our assessment session last week to look at what his needs are and what he's looking for from services again, and where some of the challenges lie. And one of the exercises that I did to help lay a foundation around moving forward in making sure we don't repeat the same outcome of what he is currently receiving right now is I did what I call a strength assessment to look at areas in his life where he feels he has strengths that he does well in. Not focusing on weaknesses, but just focusing on strengths. And why this is important is because when I looked at the end of giving him about 20 minutes or 30 minutes of private time to actually go through this and then breaking it down together, one of the things I found with it was that he found it very difficult to even come up with strengths, even though he has strengths, which is kind of interesting because more or less we all have strengths that we understand we have, but we don't actually know them until we put them on paper and see them. And when we sat down and I had him go through that explanation of what he wrote on paper, then I started talking about some of the areas that he left blank. I wanted to get to the root cause of why he thinks they're blanks. But more importantly is trying to highlight that those are still strengths, but he just doesn't see it that way. Because we live in a world where we only focus on things that are tangible or in front of us or big. And I'm about I'm kind of detailed person where I focus on the little things that create the big things. And when I started looking at some of his strengths, he had them. And this really hit home for me because it's something where, not as a young person so much that he is challenged with this, but even adults, older adults in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, they can't even highlight some of their strengths, which makes them feel stuck. They don't feel that they're mobile. They don't feel flexible. They don't feel that they have the ability to push through a challenge. And what that tends to show me is that we live in a culture that's focusing more on resources and less on being or having resourcefulness, which is a form of resiliency. Because when you're able to be resourceful on your own, it means that you can go through a process of understanding how something has made you feel, what's contributed to that feeling of emotion or outcome, and what is it that I need to do better to then try again. Because the only way you can measure progress in life is by taking action. And that's one thing I highlighted to my client that I met with this afternoon, where I was explaining to him that we have a foundation established with the strength base, but I want you to take a week to continue to work on it. And then by the next time we meet, I want us to sit down and add 4 priority areas that you want to work on over the next 6 months to a year to help us move forward. And when we look at that piece and breaking it down that way, at least we have a strong foundation. Let's not be a culture that is relying on resources. Let's learn to be resourceful within ourselves because we all are capable of doing that. As human beings, we are very resilient. But the truth is that we rely on outside influences to distort our thinking. And what we need to do is really revisit our thinking and understand what are we really capable of. And because if I explain to you that you have skills, that you're an asset, but you look in the mirror and you don't see it for yourself, then it's just words. We have to be able to own it, believe it, see it, and feel it, and run with it. And that's something that I encourage my audience members to understand about that, is that when you look at yourself, run with it, see what's there, bring it out to yourself and show it and put it on the table or put it on a piece of paper, make it tangible and read it, and then own it, and then go for it. Have a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great morning. Take care.